not really that serious.
Ready? I got 10 o'clock. That's when you said the bells are ringing. Now I hear. Now I get it. You said that. I hear the bells ringing. Yeah. All right. All right. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Mr. Faircloth pointed out the bells were ringing again in the courthouse, and so it's 10 o'clock. We'll start with roll call. Precinct 1.
Here.
Precinct 2.
Here.
Precinct 3.
Present.
Precinct 4.
Present.
The judges all here. This is our June 26th, 10 a.m. edition of Commissioners Court, and with that, we will stand and have our invocation. Our most Heavenly Father, thank you for this wonderful day. We pray for our county today as we make decisions, Lord. We pray for our state as we battle the unknowns of the cartels and the things that are crossing our border, and we pray for our nation as well. We especially pray, Lord, that our federal government will re-engage us and help us in all that we do to defend this great nation and this great state. And we ask all these things in your name.
Amen.
Now our pledges. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
honor
On the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
All right. Again, welcome everyone to the Commissioners Court this morning. I hope we don't have anyone that was here for a jury trial, right? Anyone here for a jury trial? Okay, good. You made it to the right place. We had to switch the district court jury to the annex this morning just because we have some cleaning that's going to go on in the ductwork of the second and third floors. And so we just thought it best to move that to the annex at this time. With that, do we have any other opening announcements or anything anybody wants to make? Going once, going twice? All right, we will start with our action agenda items. Item number 1, discuss and or approve TCDRS 2024 Plan Year 2024 Assessment for Lavaca County Required Contribution Rate and Cost of Living Adjustment. Do we have a motion to end?
Yes, Your Honor. I move that we discuss and approve item number 1.
Okay.
Second.
Motion made by precinct 2, second by precinct 1, to discuss item number 1. Madam Auditor?
Yep, I will explain.
Okay.
You should have before you the plan assessment for 2024 for TCDRS retirement plan for Lavaca County. The required rate for 2024 is calculated at 15.47%. Currently, Lavaca County has an elected rate of 17%, which is 1.53% higher than what is required of us to pay. If the Commissioners Court makes no changes, the difference will be applied to the county's unfunded liability of $6.935 million, therefore reducing the liability, increasing the plan's funded ratio, which currently is at 88%. However, 14 years ago in 2009 was the last time Lavaca County gave a cost of living adjustment, a COLA, to the retirees. I believe it's time for them to get an increase. I recommend approving a 10% CPI, a consumer price index increase for the retirees. This type of COLA provides an increase to the retirees' benefit payments by a percentage based on the increase in the CPI. It helps restore the buying power of each retiree based on the retiree's original benefit payment and how much inflation has occurred since the retiree has started receiving their benefits. This type of COLA will cost the county's plan $650,352, And the COLA would be funded over a 15-year period, and that would also be reflected in the county's future required contribution rates. The good news is since the county has an elected rate of 17%, this 10% CPI increase for the retirees would change our required rate to 16.21%, which is still below the 17% elected rate that we have. And that the little bit of a difference would be applied to the plan's unfunded liability. Any questions?
Go ahead, Mr. Faircloth.
Just a couple.
Sure.
Yes, how many retirees do we have on the plan? Is there any way to know that?
I'm not quite sure. There's several. I hadn't looked at that in a while. So.
Sure. Okay. The first paragraph talks about the funded rate at 88%. Is that pretty normal? Is that that seems like that's above average?
That is pretty normal. TCDRS hopes that each plan can be in the 90s, like in 90% or better, which 88% is the highest we've been since I've been here in 15 years. It was down into the 70s, and so we're slowly chipping away at our liability, which since we haven't done a COLA since 2009, that helps, because the COLAs are not a funded, it's not funded. Once you approve a COLA, we have to then provide the funding for it, so it goes as a liability to us.
Okay.
So if you do COLAs every year, that just causes your funding ratio to drop.
James,
So
okay.
since we haven't done one in a long time.
I see that. Yes, 2009 would be 14 years.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you for that, Shana. Thank you for all you do, and I honestly mean that. The last question I would have would be the explanation of the elected rate of 17%. What is that?
That's just a rate that the court adopts that is above the required rate, and that helps to go towards your liability that we have. Because on the plan assessment at the bottom, you can see that our accrued liability is about $57 million. Our assets in our plan is at about $50 million, so we have a unfunded liability of $6.9 million.
But the 17% elected rate came through the court?
Yes.
Okay, how long ago was that? Long time ago?
It's been several years. We've
Okay.
always, the court has typically always elected a rate a little bit higher than what our required rate is. I know for at least the last 2 to 3 years, the court has done 17%.
Okay. That's good. I think this is good news, right?
Oh, yeah, it's good
I think
news.
it's very good news. Anyway,
I mean, it's good news that you could give your retirees a little bit of an increase and still be under our elected rate. We wouldn't be paying in any more than what we're paying in or budgeted to pay in now. Because unless you want to go at a higher elected rate, you can do that. You can elect whatever rate you want, but you just can't go lower than the required rate.
okay. Thank you very much.
For clarity, you're asking for us to go to 10% CPI, and we can still leave the elected rate at 17% and still make gains. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
That's what that was the way it was explained to me. We're still at that 88%, but we're still going to make gains until we get.
Okay.
All right, any other discussion? A motion was made by precinct 2, second by precinct 1, to elect the 10% CPI rate and to keep the 17% elected rate. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, any other discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes.
And I will get the information for you on how many retirees there are.
Okay.
Thank you.
Next item up, discuss and/or approve source of water for road construction on county roads, precinct 2, and this is found on page 10 of your packet. The request was.
Yes, I move that we discuss item 2, looking at a source for water for road construction.
Okay, motion made by precinct 2. Second by precinct 1.
Okay.
Discussion? Go ahead. You have the floor.
Yeah, we're continuing to experience a shortage of water, and there are, I know Hallettsville and Moulton, the cities, are experiencing well issues and are having trouble with the water. They don't have the reliable source that they would like to have, and so they're going to be spending some of their funding that they received in the grant process to address some of that. We need water to build roads, and I think a lot of the constituents in the county don't know this, and that's why I put this on here. Because it's not like we can just go to somebody's house and hook up the truck and get water and go water down our roads, because we need to put water on the roads, and then we need to pack them, and before we can actually top them and, you know, chip and seal them. So I know you guys all know this, and I'm putting this on here just sort of informational, because it is an issue. It's an issue for me because right now I don't have a reliable water source. We in the past, we have just, it's my understanding, and I have the benefit of being new here, and I have the detriment of being new here. But it's my understanding that we just go to somebody's pond and they say, yeah, sure, take water. Well, people aren't feeling that way now, because we need rain now. And when we get rain, we get a lot of rain, and it doesn't stay. It runs off. So I guess I'm looking for just to put a bee in somebody's bonnet, or our bonnets, and say, we need to find a source of water that we can have access to that would provide us with the water that we need to build roads. That's why I put that out there.
Okay. I'm curious to hear from other commissioners what y'all do for water.
That property you have north of town, that the stockpile, that is precinct 2 property. Have you ever thought about drilling a deep well over there for a water source?
Well, now that you mention that, yes, I have thought about that. As a matter of fact, there was it's my understanding from talking to people in that area and people on my crew, that there was an acre for sale there next to the stockpile. And it was, I think they wanted $30,000 for it, and we thought that was way out of line. It had a well on it.
Well, you're gonna still need like a artesian type.
Yeah, you're gonna need, you're gonna need a bigger well. So it would have been nice to have that. We didn't do that. That property adjacent to the stockpile was not purchased, and so we would have to, you know, drill on. I don't know what it would cost to do that.
About 3-4 years ago, I dug a well at the shop in Ezel.
Do you remember what it cost?
Offhand, I really can't say.
We can get some bids. I mean, you can.
Was that Dennis to supply water?
For building roads.
For building roads?
Yes. Yeah, I had existing well, but it went bad, so when I redid it, we went a lot deeper, and we put up a, I don't know how many, 20,000 gallon tank over there, approximately. You know, so we can, and it does help.
Okay, thank you for that. What do you do?
Any other discussion?
Faucet and cut it on. We purchase water from the city of Hallettsville, and we also go to a stock tank near the road. We haven't had anybody say no yet, but we do have a pump and pump it directly into the truck.
So in years past, landowners have donated water.
The
to
landowners
roads.
donated water,
I mean, they've captured water that was God-given, basically, and we've gone to landowners to ask permission to suck water out for roads.
Yes.
Especially as it's, you know, in proximity to where you're working.
What does the law say about, let's take, for instance, Navidad. Can you pump water out of there?
You guys go to the Navidad River Authority.
Yeah. I think
Yeah, you
it'd
gotta get
probably
permission.
be- I think permission or permit only.
Yeah,
If there's water,
yeah.
but,
We don't have river masters per se. There's talk about that in the state constitution, but there are authorities that control that. Because I know water rights out of the river is a major major stumbling block for a lot of people. I mean, and there's, having been there, there was a book that somebody handed me one day, and they said, hey, you need to read this, and it says, Whiskey's for drinking, water's for fighting. That's the name of the book. So water rights are a major, major issue here.
Closest, what you would say, river masters in San Antonio. I think you can ask Mr. Peters about that. I believe they had to deal with them last year. Didn't you? The river master, whatever, how did you call it that, right? Yeah.
Okay.
You brought the subject matter up. I don't think there's anything to approve at this point, but maybe we need to keep looking into water sources for everybody, and especially,
Yeah.
you know, in your neck of the woods
Okay. Hey, that's,
to work with.
I appreciate you taking the time to do that.
Yep. All right, any other discussion on that item? I don't think we don't have anything to approve, so we'll move on. Item number 3, discuss and acknowledge the governor's proclamation, renewal for border crisis. Do I have a motion for that?
I'll make a motion to discuss, acknowledge the governor's proclamation, renewal of border crisis.
Okay. Second. Motion made by precinct 3, second by precinct 2 to acknowledge the governor's proclamation renewal for border crisis, and I will read it at this time. This is the governor's office to all to whom these presents shall come, whereas I, Greg Abbott, Governor of Texas, issued a disaster proclamation on May 31st, 2021, certifying under Section 418.014 of the Texas Government Code that the surge of individuals unlawfully crossing the Texas-Mexico border posed an ongoing and imminent threat of disaster for a number of Texas counties and for all state agencies affected by this disaster. And whereas I amended the aforementioned proclamation and a number of subsequent proclamations, including to modify the list of affected counties and therefore declare a state of disaster for those counties and for all state agencies affected by this disaster. And whereas the certified conditions continue to exist and pose an ongoing and imminent threat of disaster as set forth in the proper proclamations. Now therefore, in accordance with the authority vested in me by Section 418.014 of the Texas Government Code, I do hereby renew the aforementioned proclamation and declare disaster for, and I'm going to read these counties because this is important to the next phase, for B, Brewster, Brooks, Caldwell, Cameron, Chambers, Colorado, Crane, Crockett, Culberson, DeWitt, Dimmitt, Duval, Edwards, El Paso, Frio, Galveston, Goliad, Gonzales, Hidalgo, Hudspeth, Jackson, Jeff Davis, Jim Hogg, Jim Wells, Kennedy, Kerr, Kimball, Kinney, Clayburgh, LaSalle, Lavaca, Live Oak, Mason, Maverick, McCullough, McMullen, Medina, Menard, Midland, Pecos, Presidio, Real, Refugio, San Patricio, Schleicher, Sutton, Terrell, Throckmorton, Uvalde, Valverde, Victoria, Webb, Wharton, Wilbarger, Wilson, Zapata, and Zavala counties, and that was 58 counties to be more precise, and for all state agencies affected by this disaster. All orders, directions, suspensions, and authorizations provided in the proclamation of May 31st, 2021, as amended and renewed in subsequent proclamations, are in full force and effect. In accordance with the statutory requirements, copies of this proclamation shall be filed with the applicable authorities. And that was stamped and signed by Governor Greg Abbott. So we have a motion made by Precinct 3, second by Precinct 2. Any further discussion on that before we move forward?
This is just going to tie in with the next one.
Okay, we'll tie in with the next one, and we'll explain that in just a minute. Anyway, motion made by Precinct 3, second by Precinct 2 to acknowledge the governor's proclamation renewal for border crisis. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. All right, next, item number 4, discuss and approve a resolution calling for additional measures to secure the border, stop the invasion at the border, and protect our communities. Do I hear a motion for that?
I'll make a motion to discuss and or approve resolution.
Okay. Any second?
Second.
Second by, say, Precinct 4. Motion made by precinct 3, second by precinct 4. I'll start off the discussion. We'll read the proclamation that things have changed quite a bit since the first one came out. 89 new judges assembled in Lubbock, Texas in January for a meeting of new judges. And it is apparent to all of us, I'd say most of us, a majority of us, and it's looking at about 47 of us right now. We're not doing enough for border control, border security. Our federal government is not engaging us like they should. And that's apparent as well. We need to support our governor. You hear a lot in the media right now. The Florida governor, Ron DeSantis, is going around asking sheriffs to sign up. He's a governor, but he's a presidential candidate. We do not pledge allegiance to a presidential candidate. We pledge allegiance to our state flag, our national flag, and our governor and our president. At this point, our president, we have some issues with how they're engaging us or not engaging us. So we're doing this resolution. I'm going to read you the resolution, and then there's some secondary components to this. So basically, this is out of Atascosa County Judge. This is a resolution coming from judges saying we need to do more. We need to get behind Operation Lone Star, behind the governor, and we need to put pressure on Washington to do the right thing. And I'm going to read you this resolution, and then we can discuss more of it before we vote. So this is a resolution calling for additional measures to secure the border, stop the invasion at the border, and protect our communities. Whereas the preamble of the United States Constitution outlines the chief responsibility of the federal government is to ensure domestic tranquility and provide for the common defense. And whereas Article 4, Section 4 of the United States Constitution provides, the United States shall guarantee to every state in this union a republican form of government and shall protect each of them against invasion. And whereas Article 4, Section 7 of the Texas Constitution provides the governor of Texas the legal authority as commander-in-chief of the military forces of the state, and he shall have the power to call forth the militia to execute the laws of the state, to suppress insurrections, and to repel invasions. Whereas Governor Abbott, the Texas Department of Public Safety, DPS, and the Texas National Guard are using legal authority vested by the Texas Constitution to secure the border, stop the smuggling of drugs, weapons, and cartel-trafficked people into Texas, and prevent, detect, and interdict transnational criminal activity between ports of entry. And whereas since Governor Abbott launched Operation Lone Star in March 2021, the multi-agency effort has led to more than 383,000 apprehensions and more than 29,000 criminal arrests, with more than 26,000 felony charges reported. The multi-agency effort has seized over 418 million lethal doses of fentanyl, more than enough to kill every man, woman, and child in the United States. And whereas since January 2021, over 8 million illegal border crossers, again, since January 2021, over 8 million illegal border crossers have entered the U.S., totaling more than the individual population of 38 U.S. states. In the first 5 months of this year alone, more people were reported illegally entering the U.S. or evading capture than the population of 8 states. This fiscal year, nearly 500 known suspected terrorists have also been apprehended at our southern and northern borders. This invasion is unsustainable and threatens the lives of our citizens. Counties and states cannot absorb the socio-economic costs and criminal impact resulting from illegal immigration and an unsecure and open border. Whereas Governor Abbott and the Texas legislature designated Mexican cartels as foreign terrorist organizations, the cartels act as paramilitary narco-terrorist organizations that profit from trafficking people and drugs into the United States and use migrant warfare to obfuscate the trafficking of drugs and people by utilization of irregular techniques, tactics, and procedures. The terrorist designation acknowledges the non-state actors are conducting irregular warfare operations and breaching the sovereignty and national security of the United States. And further, Governor Abbott's formal diplomatic representation to the United States that the state of Texas is not protected against an invasion. And whereas the ongoing border security crisis is creating a national security threat and humanitarian disaster with overwhelming consequences to the lives and liberties of the residents of the state of Texas. And whereas, and this is the part that we did not execute on July 5th, but whereas on July 16th, I'm sorry, today is June 16th. June 16th, the counties of Kinney, Goliad, Terrell declared an invasion for the first time in Texas history. Over the next few months, the counties of Atascosa, Burnett, Chambers, Clay, Collin, Ector, Edwards, Ellis, Fannin, Franklin, Hamilton, Hardin, Harrison, Hood, Hunt, Jack, Jasper, Johnson, Lavaca, Leon, Liberty, Live Oak, Madison, McMullen, Montague, Navarro, Orange, Parker, Presidio, Shackelford, Somerville, Throckmorton, Tyler, Van Zant, Waller, Wharton, Wichita, Wilson, and Wise also declared an invasion. I'm sorry, I'm actually reading for the new proclamation. We're going to have to revise this one. I'm going to continue reading. This is what Atascosa is about to sign. Whereas on October 8, 2022, a large number of new judges were elected to countywide. Whereas on November 8, 2022, a large number of new judges were elected to counties statewide. Among them was Atascosa County Judge Weldon Coode, who formed a coalition with newly elected judges of 10 contiguous counties to declare an invasion, encourage all Texas counties to do so, express support for border counties, and join their coalition. With the signing of this resolution, the counties of Dimmitt, Frio, Karnes, LaSalle, and Medina are declaring an invasion, joining at least 42 counties that have already done so. So now therefore be it resolved, the 10-county coalition of Atascosa, Wilson, Karnes, Frio, LaSalle, Dimmitt, Medina, Kinney, McMullen, and Live Oak County have declared an invasion. 2 are calling on the judges and commissioners of the Texas remaining 207 counties to also declare an invasion, and 3 commit to supporting, repelling the declared invasion of those who relentlessly go to great lengths to circumvent the laws of Texas and the United States of America. Okay. So there's a little slight confusion. This is Atascosa's resolution that they're about to sign, and they're basically adding 42 of us together. So I apologize for that. There was two versions here. When we were supposed to sign on the 5th, we did not make a court agenda. There was 42 others doing it as well. So we're now joining that group. So I said this to say this. I'm going to read this other resolution that we're going to sign, that I'm going to ask her to sign. If that's okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So basically, when we were joining, we were one of the 10 to 12 that were signing up for the resolution. Now there's 42 others that have joined us. And again, to reiterate, this is judges that are tired. We got elected to come do a job, to be the administrators of our county. I feel like the governor is doing his part. I feel like the governor is supporting Operation Lone Star. And I think the sheriffs are doing a wonderful job of supporting Operation Lone Star. They're coming together. We're supporting them in this endeavor, and we're putting more pushes on our state and federal governments to do the right thing. And to call it, to put it this way, to say anything else other than 8 million people crossing our border, 8 million, without proper ID, without asking to come in, and then they want social services, they want free education, they want this and they want that, and I'm paying taxes, and some of them aren't paying taxes. I realize they're coming to better their lives, but that's not the way to come in. This is an invasion. 8 million, and I want to say this, I'll get on a soapbox here. Is our county affected? Yeah, they're coming through our county. We're seeing some things happen. Ask the county to the south of us. What do you feel? They feel a little bit more pressure. Ask the county south of that. And it is a big issue. So I apologize for reading that one resolution. We're going to go back. I'm going to read this resolution, the one I'm going to ask you to sign today. It's shorter. So the resolution that I'm proposing to have you guys sign, a resolution calling for additional measures to secure the border, stop the invasion at the border, and protect our communities. Whereas the preamble, and this can be redundant, whereas the preamble to the United States Constitution outlines the chief responsibility of the federal government is to ensure domestic tranquility and provide for the common defense, And whereas Article 4, Section 4 of the United States Constitution provides, the United States shall guarantee to every state in this union a republican form of government and shall protect each of them against invasion. And whereas Article 4, Section 7 of the Texas Constitution provides the governor of Texas legal authority as commander-in-chief of the military forces of the state. And the governor, he shall have the power to call forth the militia to execute the laws of the state, to suppress insurrections, and to repel invasions. And whereas cartels exploit weak and unsecured borders for their own power and profit to the detriment of our communities, and whereas cartels act as a paramilitary narco-terrorist organizations that profit from trafficking people and drugs into the United States. Whereas Governor Greg Abbott, the Texas Department of Public Safety, and the Texas National Guard are using legal authority vested by the Texas Constitution to secure the border, stop the smuggling of drugs, weapons, and cartel-trafficked people into Texas, and prevent, detect, and interdict transnational criminal activity between ports of entry. And whereas since the launch of Operation Lone Star, March 4th, 2021, the multi-agency effort has led to more than 376,000 apprehensions and more than 28,000 criminal arrests, with more than 25,000 felony charges reported. Texas DPS counter-drug warfare operations have seized over 86 million lethal doses of fentanyl, more than enough to kill every man, woman, and child in the United States. And whereas the ongoing border security crisis is not acceptable and has resulted in a security threat and humanitarian disaster with overwhelming consequences to residents in the state of Texas. And whereas numerous Texas border counties experiencing local disaster situations as a result of inadequate border security have passed declarations and resolutions calling for further action and security on the southern Texas border. And whereas Atascosa, Wilson, Karnes, Frio, LaSalle, Dimmitt, Medina, Kinney, McMullen, and Live Oak counties, and the representatives thereof have formed a consortium to promote the common goal of safety, security, and well-being of their residents. These 10 counties have recognized how vital the safety of our residents and visitors is to maintain a free and prosperous society, and have come together to support security measures at our southern border. So now therefore be resolved, this 10-county consortium will unite to support each other to stop the ongoing crisis by all legal means, and furthermore, work with Governor Greg Abbott, the Texas Department of Public Safety, and the Texas National Guard, and the law enforcement agencies within this 10-county region to protect and defend the state of Texas from the detrimental effects of the border crisis, and will work within the consortium to provide support in repelling the declared invasion of those who relentlessly go to great lengths to circumvent the laws of Texas and the United States of America. And I'm asking you guys to adopt this day as Lavaca County joining in this effort. Any discussion? Sorry for the long-windedness.
Basically, it's asking,
You might move your microphone closer. Sorry.
basically just to have it, we need all the help we can get. And to get this pretty much straightened out already. I see busing them to other cities isn't fast enough.
No, and it takes dollars, but it takes also a might. It takes power, it takes will to do the right thing. The biggest issue that I see in this one is the second one. Article 4, Section 4 of the United States Constitution provides the United States shall guarantee, not just like, well, we might do it. No, they shall guarantee to every state in this union a republican form of government and shall protect each of them against invasion. And I don't think our federal government at this point in time has done anything substantial to come down to the border to protect us from the invasion. Now we have 8 million people in here that shouldn't be here. What do we do with those? How do they get on the tax rolls? How do they become productive members? They came in illegal to start with. So that's our issue. And again, in January, 89 new judges, all sheltering in place because it was an ice storm. We couldn't leave. We had lots of discussions. In those discussions, week-long discussions, there was no talk about cartels or invasions or money laundering. None of that was talked about up in Lubbock, and we said that's the subject we all wanted to talk about, especially the South Texas judges. What are we going to do about that? No one even wants to talk about it. So this coalition here is basically, sheriffs have already taken the lead of getting Operation Lone Star kicked off, getting Governor Abbott on board. This is the push from the judges and the commissioner's court. So the judicial system needs to get involved. We need the power to implement. And we need to knock on Washington's door, quite frankly. Any other discussion?
Just briefly for context, Judge, 8 million people, the approximate population of the state of Texas is 30 million. So that's almost a 1/3 increase in the number of people, coming into the state. And that is an incredible drain on resources that would normally be used, for the people of the state of Texas. And so it's not being used for the people of the state of Texas. So it has hidden cost and, hidden unforeseen consequences that we're going to continue to experience if nothing is done. Because what we're doing now, or what's being done now, is just a Band-Aid. It's not a long-term solution at all. And so I think it's a great idea for us to put our name on something and say, we want this to stop. It is your constitutional responsibility to protect our state, and you're not doing it. And so we might even be creative in the sense that the fuel tax on a gallon of fuel that's sent to the federal government, you have any idea what that is? It's about 20 cents a gallon, 24 cents a gallon. That's what the federal government receives. So when I was in the legislature, we sent the administration a bill for $5.4 billion. I think it's time to get serious about what we're doing here and let the government know that we're serious, because we're the one that's bearing the burden. We're the ones that are experiencing the damage that's being done here. A friend of mine lost his son recently to a fentanyl overdose. I mean, it's tragic, and we don't hear about it. We're fortunate that we're cloistered here. We're protected from a lot of things that go on in a major metropolitan area, but we're not protected from this invasion.
I want to add, too, we could talk about this for days. From the time this first resolution came to us out of Atascosa asking us to sign this, the numbers were 25,000 felony charges. They've gone up in a month and a half to 26,000, 1,000 felony charges since they first drafted. They went from 376,000 apprehensions to 383,000 apprehensions. So those numbers are changing. If you're confused on the numbers, there's two different dates here. Those numbers are escalating. I want to quote a reliable source out of, he's an area representative from one of the oil and gas companies. He's got a friend who's a sheriff out of West Texas. I'm not going to give the place and the site away. He was going to lunch with the sheriff. He went to meet the sheriff, and he got in the car with the sheriff, and then immediately they had they were looking for a certain car, known cartel ties. So he got involved in a chase on I-10. They called DPS. He was the sheriff, and this guy was by himself. They're not going to interdict by themselves because they don't have the manpower. DPS got involved. They ended up getting the car off the road into the ditch. There were 6 women bound and gagged, tied together, stacked like logs in the back of the SUV. 6 women, bound and gagged, stacked in like logs. There was a 10-year-old boy that was in the upright seat belted in. He was told to shut up, I guess, and just be there. Human trafficking, like we don't know. We don't know in Hallettsville.
We don't see.
We've got some car chases coming through here. I mean, JR's in the back room. Sheriff could not be here today. But this is why those chases are important. You think those women were relieved? And the testimony that I heard is that they were glad to see us stop the car. They were victims of sex trafficking, okay? This wasn't your standard come on over here, work in America type of deal. So we can't have that. That's just unheard of, to allow that to continue. And we have to keep fighting it, because it's the right fight. So anyway, that resolution that I provided to you, I'm going to ask you to sign it. Do we have any other discussion? Again, we could talk about this for 2 hours. Okay. I had a motion from precinct 3, second by precinct 4, to approve that resolution as read, the second one. Any other discussion?
I believe you know it.
If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Thank you. Again, we're just talking up here. Talk is cheap, but we're kind of tired of talking. We need to put some pressure on Washington to step in. All right. Moving on to agenda item number 5, discuss and approve certificate of exemption from subdivision requirements for Glen Bluta. And that's out of precinct 2. That's found on page 18 in your packet.
Your Honor, I move that we discuss and approve item number 5, certificate of exemption subdivision requirements for Glen Bluta.
Second.
Motion made by precinct 2, second by precinct 1. Any discussion?
Just briefly, Your Honor, this is a family tract of land, so it's not being subdivided, for development. It's strictly ag use, so this is done within a family, and so it truly meets the requirements of this. What we're seeing is that there is a title company that's continuing to bring this before us, and we have to provide a certificate of exemption before they will issue a clear title. And so at some point, we're going to have to sit down and review this and visit this and see if there's not a simpler way to accomplish this, because this is not, I don't think this is what this was designed for, yet that's what we're being asked to do.
Okay.
But I move that we approve item 5.
Okay.
Second.
All right, we have a motion made by precinct 2, second by precinct 1, to approve the exemption certificate, to approve the certificate of exemption from subdivision requirements for Glen Bluta. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Number 6, discuss and approve certificate of exemption from subdivision requirements for Donald Kachurk. And that's out of precinct 2, found on page 23.
Yes.
We have a motion.
Yes. I also move that we approve item number 6, the certificate of exemption from subdivision requirements for Donald Kachurk.
Second.
Okay, motion is made by precinct 2, second by precinct 1, to approve the certificate of exemption from subdivision requirements for Donald Kachurk. Any discussion?
Yeah, we have in the audience the young man that's involved in this. Would you mind coming forward, sir? Thank you, sir.
The microphone here.
Okay, sorry, sir.
Get the microphone to you. Again, we're still having some audio issues. We've asked that when the auditor or anyone speaks from the table that they have a microphone so we can pick that up on recordings. So right now we're sharing a mic. Can you state your name for the court?
Yeah.
Dustin Helmkamp.
Okay, Dustin, nice to meet you.
Okay, Dustin, would you just briefly describe what's going on here for us?
Yes, so Mr. Kasurik had purchased 190 acres a couple of years ago. It has road frontage on County Road 221 and FM 532. He has sold one tract that was 22.5 acres with County Road 221 frontage. He is looking to sell a second tract of 22.5 acres with frontage on County Road 221. It's ag exempt acreage. They're putting restrictions in place against further subdividing, no commercial business use, and no manufactured homes on the tract. And after this sale, he would possibly look to sell other tracts with the acreage being no less than 22.5 acres, with all of them having road frontage. But at this time, he's looking to sell just 22.5 acres on County Road 221.
Okay. And now, Dustin, it's my understanding that this is the second tract that's being sold out of this original tract. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
The first tract was 22.5 acres. This tract is 22.5 acres.
Okay. On 20, so I did my math, says 45.
Yes.
So here's what I would, I'm going to recommend that we approve this. I mean, I'm going to recommend we approve it. But in the future, since this is a large tract of ground, you need to have it platted.
Sure.
Okay, and you need to, if you would, provide us with the covenants and restrictions that are associated with this piece of ground, because, just so we can verify that.
Right.
So if you would do that on this track, I would appreciate that. Just get the, back to the court so we can review that. But going forward, it needs to be surveyed and platted, because it seems like that once a year, maybe twice a year, this is going to keep coming up.
Right.
Okay? So, that's all the question.
And that subject came up in the judge's office. I don't think it was this plan, but I don't think we can't require someone to give us their 20-year plan.
Right.
But, you know, it would be cost effective for someone to come in there, and if they knew they were going to sell one-track land for the next 20 years, to go ahead and plat that out. But if they don't have that plan, we don't have anything to stop them from doing one track at a time. If that makes any sense. It's going to cost them more money every time they go back to get it
No, I
retired.
understand.
So
Well, and it's costing us money to process.
it does, I agree, but
So-
the way it's written, I don't think we have the power to say, hey, you got to give us your 20-year plat or your plan.
Well, I'm not
So-
asking for that.
Okay,
I'm-
all right. Any other discussions? All right, so I had a motion made by precinct 2, second by precinct 1, to approve the certificate of exemption from subdivision requirements for Lavaca Church, as stated. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes.
Thank you, Justin.
Thank you, Justin. Okay, item number 7, discuss and or approve certificates of exemption from subdivision requirements for Cheryl and Charles Pavliska. That's out of precinct 1, and that's found on page 28.
It's precinct 1, but I believe it's county precinct 3.
Precinct 3.
maintained. So you.
Okay, wait, say that again?
It's good. It's a precinct 1 road, but it's maintained by precinct 3.
Okay, and just for clarity on that, these guys have agreements with themselves, just for ease of moving equipment around, who's doing what roads and maintaining roads. But it's in precinct 1, it's currently a road is serviced by precinct 3.
Correct.
Okay.
Cheryl and Charles Pavliska.
Do we have a motion? Let's have a motion to bring this to the
I'm
table.
sorry.
That's all right.
I made a motion.
Motion to bring it to the table is by precinct 3, second by precinct 1. Okay, any discussion?
Yes, the Pavliskas have a little over a 28-acre tract, and they're going to be selling 12.12 acres to an individually solely, not to be subdivided after that or anything. It's just a normal land sale.
Okay. And they realize that any other subdivisions would be subject to?
Yes.
Okay. Any other divisions? All right. Okay. Any other discussion?
I make a,
If not, we had a motion made by precinct 3, second by precinct 1, to approve the certificate of exemption from subdivision requirements for Cheryl and Charles Pavliska. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. And I think, Wayne, to bring up a point that you just made, Mr. Fairclough, that when we go back into our subdivision regulations, we'll probably sometime in the fall. I think that's just kind of where this court is heading to. We don't have the time and resources right now. But we need to go back to make this a better streamlined process. It was never the court's intention that all these exemptions needed to come through court. And we're getting about 3 to 4 a week, it seems like. Okay, number 8, discuss and approve order to vacate road, and that's by precinct 3 on page 36.
I make a motion to discuss order to vacate road.
Okay. Motion made by precinct 3, second by precinct 4. Any discussion?
Yes, basically, this is north of Shiner off of Highway 95. And the first road is, I think it's Strauss Street for the city of Shiner, but it's also County Road 346A. And basically, it's county road in name only anyway, since they changed the city limits and the brewery is in there. So I just want to make a clarification that that road, they're giving away about 100 feet of that dead-end road,
Okay.
but it's all city maintained.
Gotcha.
And then along County Road 3435, it's County Road 346C. The brewery bought both sides of this old county road easement, and we need to, it's only 150 feet on one side, and then when you see it L-shaped, it's about 200 feet going into County Road, FM Road 3435. Clarifications, that's still, those roads are pretty much in county road name only,
Okay.
with the exception of the entrance off of really 3435.
It's entirely in the city limits.
Right.
Right. All right.
So with that being said, I would like to make a motion to approve the order to vacate County Road 346A, 100 foot, and County Road 346C, 300 feet.
Okay, motion made by precinct 3, it was seconded by precinct 4, to approve the order to vacate those roads as provided. Any other discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Number 9, discuss and approve adopting Lavaca County EMS charity care policy. It is brought to you by our EMS director, and that is found on page 43.
All right. Thank you all. So this is kind of just a housekeeping order that we need to look at. This is a policy that we would need to adopt in order for us to participate in the Texas Ambulance Supplemental Payment Program, which is only available to governmental-owned ambulance services. So private ambulance services cannot participate in this program. But what it is, in order for us to participate in it, we have to adopt a charity care policy, and traditionally Lavaca County has never had such. What this does is it enables us to, for example, if we send a bill to somebody that, if you look down towards the bottom of the page, is earning less than or equal to 400% of the federal poverty level, we would then write that bill off. That then, along with some other information throughout the year, is then sent back to the Ambulance Supplemental Payment Program, and they in turn help with those write-offs and send us a check back for a portion, a percentage of what it is we had to write off that day, or that year.
Okay.
That's really it. That's
Simple as that?
It's really as simple as that.
So basically, it'll help us out and collect some funds down the road versus collecting.
Correct. Typically, if we have to write a bill off or send them to collections, even if we send somebody to collections, they just don't have money, they don't have money, right?
Right.
This would enable us to be able to at least get some of that back through this program. And, go ahead.
Is this state or federal, or?
So it's federal money given to the state, and then the state disperses the money.
Okay.
Yeah. I first found out about this, 6 years ago or so, and implemented it in another department, and we've just never done it here, and I would like to be able to try to participate in the Texas Ambulance Supplemental Payment Program in Lavaca County, so we can get some of these monies back.
Is it a cost for us?
It is not a cost for us, sir, no. I say typically we would write a bill off, we just don't see anything, period, and this gives us a chance to at least be able to recoup some money from it.
To me, it makes a whole lot of sense. I'll make a motion that we approve adopting Lavaca County EMS charity care policy.
Second.
All right, I got a motion made by precinct 4, second by precinct 3, to approve adopting Lavaca County EMS charity care policy.
Go ahead.
Any further discussion? Go ahead.
Well, I just did want to add, this is nothing that puts us, on an island. There's plenty of other counties around and city-owned ambulance services that do this around the state. I do know that Fayette, Colorado, don't know if Gonzales, I would assume they probably participate in it as well, being a governmental ambulance service now. So there's lots of folks around us that participate in this.
All right. Motion made by precinct 4, second by precinct 3, to approve adopting Lavaca County EMS charity care policy. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Thank you, Mr. Furr.
Thank you,
Chief
Jerry.
Furr. Glad to see you back on vacation. All right, number 10, acknowledge Texas Agri-Life Extension and Healthy South Texas proclamation recognizing Moulton Elementary as a healthy South Texas recognized campus. Do I hear a motion?
Yes.
Second.
Okay, motion made by precinct 1, second by precinct 2, to acknowledge Texas Agri-Life Extension and Healthy South Texas proclamation recognizing Moulton Elementary as a healthy South Texas recognized campus.
I want to thank you for your time this morning. I'm Natalie Knezik. I'm the County Extension Agent for Family and Community Health here in Lavaca County. I have with me Anita Drawbeck and Tiffany Yonick. They're third grade teachers at Moulton Elementary. The support of the court is much appreciated. This type of recognition wouldn't come about if we didn't have our county programs along with the Healthy South Texas initiative that's part of Texas Agri-Life Extension. Basically, in a nutshell, Moulton Elementary collaborated with us during the 22-23 school year on a number of programs in order to achieve this recognition. They are the first school in Lavaca County to achieve this and the only for the 22-23 year. And so in order for them to accomplish this, they had an application, they had a number of programs they had to participate in. So during the course of the 22-23 school year, 156 students at Milton Elementary, all of the elementary school students, participated in the Walk Across Texas program. Over a period of 8 weeks, they walked 7,200 miles during their PE sessions. There were also 6 adults that participated in that program. That was their classroom teachers and the PE instructors. 22 sixth grade students completed the 6 weeks mindfulness program known as Mindful Self. That was done during the fall. And then Ms. Yannick and Ms. Drawbeck were an integral part in our 3rd grade Learn, Grow, Eat, Go program, where they planted 4 raised beds and raised lettuce, tomatoes, radishes, and kohlrabi, and learned about healthy eating and nutrition this spring. And so with all of that, then there was an application that had to be submitted and proof that they actually participated in all these programs. We also offered a parent program that was Cooking Well with Diabetes. That was conducted in their food lab in the high school, and we had adult participants in that program, including my sharing the Spanish version of the curriculum for the nurse to pass on to some families. And so with all of that, I get to present to them a banner that they will be able to display for this next school year outside that recognizes them as a campus, and we'd like to ask the court if we could trouble y'all for a picture for the paper.
I think we can accommodate that.
We can do that.
Sounds like an easy request.
You know, we'd just like to say, thank you for being a trendsetter and, making a difference in Moulton and setting an example, for the surrounding areas as well. What you do makes a difference. I know you know that, but we know it too, so.
Yeah. First thing, make sure the banner's appropriate. Yeah, I'll just squeeze it out. That'll work. All right, thank you. Thank you again. Thank you again, Lex. I think Wayne, Commissioner 2 said you are trendsetters, and thank y'all for being that trendsetter. Appreciate it. All right, we had a motion made by Precinct 1, second by Precinct 2 to acknowledge Texas Agri-Life Extension Healthy South Texas proclamation recognizing Moulton Elementary as a Healthy South Texas recognized campus. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. All right, we've got several reports on 11 and 13, but the first one is number 11, the 2022 Public Health Region 8 Annual Report. Do I have a motion to enter into that?
I'd like to make a motion.
Okay, I heard Precinct 3 made a motion to enter into this, and second by Precinct 1. And at that time, this time we'll have our presentation.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Good morning.
Good morning. Ms. Barham, how are you?
Good. My name is Lauren Warner. I am the public health nurse at the Texas Department of State Health Services, Public Health Region 8. Sheila Yansky is the community health specialist who is also employed by DSHS, and we are both co-located here in Hallettsville at the Health and Human Service Office with HHSC and the Department of Family and Protective Services. Today, we would like to provide you with the 2022 Lavaca County Annual Public Health Report. For all those who don't have a copy of the report, there is one also available in the back for you. I would also like to note that we continue to provide coverage in Lavaca and Gonzales counties. Dr. Jennifer Schufert is the new Commissioner of Health, and present here with me today is Dr. Lillian Ringsdorf, Regional Medical Director, Gail Morrow, Deputy Regional Director, Dr. Catherine Velasquez, Community Health Improvement Manager, Elise Rush, Epidemiology Manager, Dr. Amanda Kiefer, zoonosis control veterinarian, and Rachel Warren's preparedness and response planner. All diseases that are required to be reported by the state of Texas that occur in Lavaca and Gonzales counties are investigated by our staff. A monthly tally of disease occurrence is sent to providers in each county. Contact investigations allow Region 8 to identify exposed individuals and provide proper evaluation and treatment to those infected. Tuberculosis disease continues to be a priority of the agency with directly observed therapy administered to all TB cases. HIV STD services are also made available to the public at our local office, where we provide free, confidential counseling, testing, treatment, and public education to aid in our goal of disease prevention. We continue to also administer routine vaccines to children who are eligible through the Texas Vaccines for Children program, as well as limited vaccines for adults who are uninsured. We continue to work closely with your school nurses and local providers to provide them the support and education they need with back-to-school immunization records and following state minimum requirements. The Community Health Improvement Program continues to participate in population-based activities with emphasis on injury prevention related to suicides, motor vehicle crashes, hyperthermia, breastfeeding and safe sleep for infants, water safety, and decreasing the rate of obesity among school-aged children. In addition to these obesity efforts, we collaborate every year with your local Texas AgriLife Extension Agency to plan and prepare for the Kids Health Party. This event is held annually in October for all fifth graders within our county. We also support and provide education and resources to schools on mental health, e-cigarettes, STDs, flu and hand washing, and spinal, vision, and hearing screenings. We are involved in the school's health advisory committee and do our best to participate in wellness events such as local health fairs and collaborate with other local organizations such as WIC, Health Ministries, and the Community Resource and Coordination Group for Lavaca County. Sheila and I are both certified car passenger safety technicians and have participated in car seat safety checkup events in Lavaca and surrounding counties. We also perform car seat inspections at our office in Hallettsville by client appointment. Emergency preparedness and response continues to be a priority to the agency as well. Sheila and I have both served on the Lavaca Emergency Planning Committee, Child Fatality Review Team, and the Golden Crescent Healthcare Coalition. We also attend the Mid-Coast Hurricane and Disaster Conference and encourage you to attend this annual conference, which is held every year in April. Lastly, I would like to take the opportunity to thank you, Judge Mudd, and the commissioners for your continued support of the Texas Department of State Health Services. Our mission is always to protect and improve the health and well-being of people in Lavaca County, as well as Region 8. We would not be able to meet this goal without your support, so thank you.
Thank you, Lauren.
Thank you.
Thank y'all for what you do. Thank y'all for all being here today. I'm sorry this is kind of a longer session.
That's okay. I also want to add, due to the recent Shigella outbreak, and we also have had some recent skunk rabies cases within our area, I do have our epidemiology manager and zoonosis veterinarian here today, so if anyone has questions, this would be a great time to ask.
Did you say skunk rabies?
Yes.
I thought that's what I heard. All right.
Yes, we've been seeing an increase in skunk rabies in this area, particularly in Victoria County, but also spilling over into Lavaca County. We've had 3 positive skunks in Lavaca in the past month, which is unusual.
Whoa,
okay.
Last month we had 0. So just a friendly reminder, keep your pets vaccinated, make sure your animal control entities are aware of the regulations. And if you have any questions or exposures, you can call us and we'll help you with that.
I see Jimmy Apple writing diligently over here. I think that's a whole article on the front page, I think, on skunk rabies. Huh? Not this week?
Just, is it transferable with something feeding on a carcass?
No, so rabies is transmitted through the saliva of an infected animal, so humans are typically exposed and animals through bites, because that saliva has to make it through a break in skin to get into the bloodstream. So just an animal scavenging on an animal, not going to transmit rabies, it has to really be a direct contact. The virus itself doesn't survive very well outside of the animal once it's died. So usually, again, we're talking about bites and scratches. And then the exception to that rule is with bats, which we don't see a lot of bats here, but we do in Bear County.
And
Thank you.
to those of you listening live, we were having some discussion in the back of the courtroom with a veterinarian discussing rabies, so
Yeah.
apologize that you're not on the air.
That's it. So, is skunk rabies a particular virus, or is that all the same, all one
So
strain?
the virus, the rabies virus can affect any mammal, humans to kittens.
Right.
But in the state of Texas, we have two primary variants of reservoirs, which is the South Central skunk and then the bat. So of all the animals that get tested for rabies in Texas, they're usually either going to have skunk rabies or bat variant rabies.
Okay,
But yes, any mammal can have rabies.
thank you.
All right. Any other discussion? If not, thank you, Ms. Warner, for your presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank y'all for what y'all do.
All right, we had a motion by Precinct 3, second by Precinct 1, to approve the 2022 Public Health Region 8 Annual Report. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. All right, next, item number 12, discuss and approve the budget workshop dates. At this time, I spent my entire weekend, I should say that, I just want the, on the record, entire weekend going through the budget and reviewing it. I've got my,
I would like to make a motion
oh, he wants to make a motion.
to discuss the budget workshop
Good.
dates.
Okay. Precinct 3, made a motion to discuss and approve the budget workshop dates. Second by?
Second.
Second by 1. Motion made by Precinct 3, second by Precinct 1, to discuss and to approve the budget workshop dates. Any discussion? I was discussing it, sorry. Anyway, I've got all my notes compiled and provided to the auditor's office at this time. This will give her a week or so to compile the data and information and put it in something that's more presentable for all of us to review and look at. So what I propose at this point is to set some dates, and I'm going to go with, I think, July. We have court on July 10th. We've got Commissioners Court on July 10th. I've got a full probate court docket on July 11th, and so I'm going to ask July 12th and 13th be set aside for what we're calling budget workshop, a time where we can all 5 of us come in here to discuss that budget proposal as everyone has proposed to us, and cut where necessary in some departments. Anyway, I think we're looking pretty well. I've talked to the appraisal district, and I think things are looking good on their end. So I believe we're going to have a pretty fairly easy time coming up with a good budget for the next upcoming year. So I'm proposing July 12th and 13th for those budget workshop dates. And what I would like to do is say the 12th at 9 a.m., July 12th at 9 a.m. for our first round. And then if we need to do a second round, we'll go to the 13th. And on the 13th, we may, if we have to call in a department to discuss why they need a certain budget request, we can do that on the 13th. But on the 12th, it'll just be general discussion, that we'll go through the budget with all 5 of us present, and then we'll go from there. And then the next dates would be, I think July 25th is when I have to have it posted to the public, correct? I'm looking. Okay. Well, we're working ahead of schedule, so if we can get through our court date on July 12th and 13th and everything's fine, then we can publish it early if we have to. So I have no problem with that. So I had a motion by Precinct 3, second by Precinct 1 to discuss and approve the budget workshop dates, and I'm asking to include July 12th and 13th of those workshop dates. Any other discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Okay, item number 13, SJRC, which is St. Jude's Ranch for Children, Phase 2 Community-Based Care Update. Do I hear a motion?
Yes.
Motion made by Precinct 1, second by Precinct 2 to hear the report for St. Jude's Ranch for Children. If you would you state your name for the court?
Yes, Nicole Wynn, the Regional Director. Hi, good morning. Cynthia Ramirez, Community Liaison for the East Region.
Nice to meet you both.
Thank you. Good morning. Thank you all for having us here today. There was a PowerPoint that was submitted, so I believe y'all should have a copy of that.
That's on page 61. Sorry.
Yes.
We just wanted to come back, and I know we've been here before and touched base, but we wanted to come back and kind of give an update on stage 2. So I won't go slide by slide, I'll just kind of hit a little bit on it because some of it is a refresher, but community-based care was what was rolled out in 2017 by legislative, which was taking the child welfare system that was normally overseen by Child Protective Services, CPS, or DFPS, Department of Family Protective Services, and contracting out parts of the workload to contractors. And so we hold the contract for this area for community-based care. And then there's a big map there that's considered Region 8B. So they took Region 8 and divided it out between 8B and 8A whenever community-based care came around. So you'll see all that thing. We have color coordinated it in 4 different regions because it's 27 counties, and one person can't oversee 27 counties. So Cynthia and I both oversee the East region. I know we're in South Texas, but it's the East region of our map. It's the blue counties down there. It's 7 of them. It's Gonzales, Lavaca, DeWitt, Victoria, Goliad, Jackson, and Calhoun. The next slide has just our region for you, just so a quick reminder of where we're at. In April in 2021 is when we actually submitted for the or before then is when we submitted for the contract, and we got awarded it. And so April 2021, we started the startup. It took about 6 months to get all of our policies and things in place. October 2021 is when we actually started doing the work. So in October 2021, we actually took over placement and intake from the Child Protective Services or the Department of Family Protective Services. Some people know it either way. And so what that meant was anytime a kid was removed from any of our counties, we handled where they were placed. Then in October 2022, we took over case management. So we did intake, and then a year later, we took over the case management. And so at that point, every function after intake and placement, we took care of. From going to court, doctor's visits, anything, whatever placements look like through the term of that case, whether it was reunification, adoption, or aging out of care, we handle all that under Belong. Just some statistics for y'all, or going back to that real quick. I know in that circle you'll see the Bexar County is the empty spot in that map. We are putting in a bid for that. They're going out for bid to do community-based care, and we have made it aware that we are going to be going for that because originally Region 8 was one region, and they divided it in 2 regions for community-based care, and so we'd like to see it come all back together as one region again. And so we are going to go out for bid for that for Bexar County. No guarantees, but we are going out to see if we can kind of consolidate the 2 back together. In Lavaca County, I pulled the data last week. Y'all had 5 youth that are currently in care. It's actually a pretty low number. Y'all normally fluctuate between that to 10 to 12 kids. It really depends on a sibling group because we could get a call later today and there'd be a sibling group removed and then you add to your number. So you currently, as of last week, had 5 kids in care. They are all placed outside of this county in various different types of placements, from foster homes to residential treatment centers. And then you currently have 1 youth that's still in care and overseen, but they are back home with mom and a monitored return, so that's really good. And we're really excited for them and continue to support them and hopefully continue that process. And so we just wanted to give you a little update on those youth. Big part of what we've been able to do, big part of what we've been able to do is with the help of our CASA, our Court Appointed Special Advocates, the Child Welfare Board, and then community supporters, along with Belong, to really help pull back into these kids and what community-based care could be. And so it really does take a village. We've been able to call on a lot of local resources, from CASA to PAT programs to Chosen that can go in the home and support these families, to local donors. Everybody has been able to wrap around these kids, and it has been amazing. I can't say enough about CASA, and y'all are fortunate to have an actual office here in Hallettsville as Lavaca County, and they have been instrumental, as well as y'all's Child Welfare Board. I cannot say enough about how awesome y'all's Child Welfare Board is, and I thank y'all for y'all's continued support of them. They have done so much to wrap around these kids that come into care and just show them love, and they've been able to assist with back to school and just needs that they might have, and Christmas gifts to let them know that they're not alone. And so I know that's something y'all support, and we really rely on them too to really support the kids here from Lavaca County, and it's amazing the work they do. And all volunteers, they are amazing volunteers. And so that's just a little bit about where we're at. We've been in stage 2 for 8 months now, and so we're just continuing to go. And I just wanted to let y'all know, in case y'all did hear about Bear County, that we are going out to bid for that area as well. Do y'all have any questions?
Any questions, discussion?
How do you go out for bid?
They put out an RFP, and then there are certain requirements that you have to have. Before we went out to bid, we were already a provider in the child welfare system for 40 years, so we had the experience of being in the child welfare system as a provider and a child placing agency, and we had our prevention department, and so we went out for bid. It makes sense, because we already have the 27 counties for us to hopefully merge that back together, but whoever gets that contract, we hope to work really closely with them, because there's a lot of resources out of that county.
I have a question. How are y'all funded?
We are funded, so we took over the role from the state, which was, they fund themselves 100%, they only fund us 60%. So 60% of the work that we took over is funded by them, and then we have to fundraise the other 40%.
Okay. Any other questions, comments?
Thank you for what they do for the kids.
Thank y'all, and thank y'all's, literally, I cannot say enough about y'all's child welfare board. Thank y'all for continuing to support them, they've been awesome.
Child welfare is a big issue to this county, and so no child left behind in Lavaca County, I can tell you that.
Yes,
So-
and y'all have some hard cases that come out of here. I know you were talking about the trafficking that's coming through. We're seeing it as well. And so just y'all's continued support is I don't want to say five is important. Whether I'm talking to a county that has 100 kids or five kids still matter. And so thank y'all for just wrapping around them and having that mentality of no child left behind. It's really
And
appreciated.
so that was 5 kids removed from the home.
From Lavaca County, yes. I do, let me preference that. We do not do family-based. So any of the kids that were being seen, overseen by Child Protective Services, but maybe they stayed in the home because they were able to put in a safety plan and say it's safe for them to be here as long as you do that, we don't do those. Those stayed with the state. Only the kids that have been physically removed. Now, those kids that are physically removed and placed with grandma and grandpa, aunt and uncle, we still take on those cases.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I didn't mean to mention that, but that's a good point.
Well, thank y'all so much for what you do. It's invaluable work, and
If you don't mind, I also would like to send a shout out to the AgriLife Extension Agency. They've offered their services as far as like nutrition classes, diabetic classes, parenting classes, budgeting, so we appreciate that, as well as Norma's House in this area for counseling of some of the children that have been removed. So we want to show appreciation to them, too.
gotcha. Thank you.
Thank you.
Very fortunate for our rural counties that wrap around kids. Definitely nice working in this area with everybody willing to help, so thank y'all.
Well, thank y'all very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, we had a motion from Precinct 1, second by Precinct 2, to approve the St. Jude's Ranch for Children Phase 2 Community-Based Care Update. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. All right, with that, we'll move into our consent agenda. Do we have a motion to move into consent?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Precinct 3, second by Precinct 4, to move into consent. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We are now on consent, and our microphones will go off at this time.
I don't know, yes.
I got a red button, what does that mean? Red
I
battery?
can't see it, I don't know, brush it over.
All right, I got it. Okay, all items